Hello everyone, it's Tania Gabrielle here, Wealth Astrology Numerologist. Welcome to this special Star Codes episode on the Mercury Retrograde in both Leo and Cancer, which this time around is going to be especially potent because there's so much else going on, including the two eclipses in July and another retrograde that begins a day after Mercury stations. So this is a very important forecast in terms of a redirection energy in your life. You're going to be fired up to make some changes. So our big topic is, how are you going to make the changes? What is going to be activated and fired up? And of course, we're going to end with some wonderful tips on how to handle this very powerful dynamic energy in the midst of, like I said, eclipse season as well. So Mercury governs how you think, your mindset, how you speak, how you write, how you communicate, how you connect. Mercury is the messenger. Mercury moves quickly. And 3 times a year, Mercury stations retrograde, where it seems that it goes backwards from our perspective. It actually doesn't, but because of how things work, it looks like it does. And it does impact us in that way because that's how we're perceiving the motion of Mercury retrograde. Now, this one begins July 7th, 8th, depending on where you live, and ends July 31st, August 1st, again, depending on where you live. So in today's episode, we're going to dive into the map of Mercury retrograde, and we'll also cover why the impact of this Mercury retrograde in Cancer is especially important, since Capricorn, the sign opposite Cancer, is deeply activated with that big event in January when Saturn and Pluto come together with the Sun and Mercury in Capricorn for this major meeting, right? It hasn't happened in 500 years in this way, and actually beyond, because we have so much more going on this time around. So when anything happens in Capricorn or Cancer, as we move into that big event in January, we have to really pay attention. And as it turns out, Mercury goes all the way back, starts at 4 degrees Leo, moves back into Cancer, and stops at 24 degrees in Cancer, which is pretty much opposite where this big event takes place in January. So we're going to really be touching now, this summer, winter in the Southern Hemisphere, we're going to be really touching on the big redirect, the big breakthrough themes in our lives now, and then it's building up and giving you the tools to rethink, have a new perspective, a new reframe. I love that word because we're always reframing based on feedback we get. And we'll also get a real sense on which area of your life is going to be especially affected and require you to reflect and then be really creative, because Leo is the creative sign. Cancer is very sensitive and caring and loving. We'll look at the degree numbers: 4 degrees Leo, 24 degrees in July in Cancer. And then we'll also look at how a trine to Chiron happening the same time, this is really lovely, is helping you to heal at a deep level in the most loving, supportive environment. And also, this is happening while you're fired up to actually let go of the past. So the healing actually is very, very rapid. And of course, we all love that, right? We like things to not linger when it comes to changing gears, changing direction, so that we can, get a move on, but also flush things through, allow the Pluto-Saturn energy of very stable Saturn and then Pluto coming through and purging us, allowing that to not linger so much, so that we're not in this place of losing our sense of direction and momentum. And as usual, we'll end the Star Code podcast with some powerful tips on how to leverage the stars and numbers in your personal and professional life. So that's what we're covering today. I have to say, this Mercury retrograde actually couldn't be more timely. In a sense, starting in between 2 eclipses and putting our focus on the freedom and creativity. Leo is just a sign that is very vivacious and fearless. And so it gives you the courage to love. And so let's look at Mercury in Leo first to start off with, because that's where the retrograde begins at 4 degrees. And Leo likes having a platform. It likes to perform in some way. And you can actually have a platform, not necessarily by going up on a stage. You can be a writer and have a platform as a writer. So what you're doing, though, with this Leo energy is you're roaring, you're standing up to be seen and counted, and you're doing so without any excuses. And so a Mercury retrograde that begins in Leo is emboldening you from the inside to accept and navigate and steer the changes, the fire that's burning inside. So it's teaching you that fearlessness begins internally. So you want to hang around energy that is supporting you to make those changes and not be afraid to make them. And in a sense, because we have, and I know I'm jumping around a little bit here, but because Saturn is such a big impact on us at this time in its own sign and leading up to the big event in its own sign of Capricorn, we do have very stable energy to hold the space for us to make breakthroughs. So it's really a lovely, lovely balance here. And so during this part of the year in 2019, in the middle, we're being asked to loosen up, step out, take some risks. And everyone has something to share. Everyone has something to say. And Mercury retrograde in Leo is asking you to be very creative in how you communicate and not hold back. Like I said, Leo is ruled by the actual sun, your inner light. So what lights you up? What can you not wait to share, right? What topics, what message? And one way to, of course, find out the nature of your core messaging, meaning your divine mission, right? What you're here to do, is through your own star code. It gives you the direction, it gives you the purpose, it gives you your destiny. And so your star code uncovers the secrets in what your birthday code means, what your birth name code means. And so you want to know those main themes in your life. And you can get a really good idea of what those main themes are when you go to starcodeclass.com, where I dive into the meaning of your birthday code, your birth name code, and also your astrology code. And no worries if you don't know anything about numerology and astrology. It's all really easily presented to you in that free class. So just head over to starcodeclass.com after this podcast. Now, 4 degrees is the degree number that Mercury stations on in Leo, and that means there's a reorganization of your creative expression. Organization is related to the number 4. It gives direction, it gives a way to put things in their place. It allows you to feel stable. It's very grounding energy, and it also gives you that sense of let's try something new. 4 is in the number of the enigma, so it allows you to not just be in the box, but actually step out and be really unique, different. So 4 degrees Leo reorganizes how you're thinking. So Mercury retrograde is all about, look at the word retrograde, it starts with RE, right? So you want to put RE in front of a lot of words, and then you get what Mercury retrograde is about. It is about release and restructuring and returning to some old themes and understanding certain big topics in your life from a deeper perspective as you look within. So be cautious though, because there is a major square, and that's a 90-degree connection between Mercury retrograde and Uranus, which is very exciting energy. So you want to be extra cautious and patient in your dealings with others. You want to guard against rushing to conclusions and being rash. What you definitely are being encouraged to do is express yourself with passion, with fearlessness, and know that your words will carry tremendous impact, additional impact, which means that inspiration with Uranus, inspiration is on a high, and with Mars, your instinct and your drive and your ability to just move forward energetically, fired up, is at a high. So this generates a lot of electricity, right? It's positive, it's palpable, and the way you create a positive out of attention, which is a square, which is very much a get up and go motivational connection in astrology. There's a lot of tension that needs to be resolved, and the way we resolve it is through movement. And since Leo governs the heart, it governs romance, it governs intense love encounters, children, enthusiasm, creativity, artistic expression, self-actualization. Leo is just so passionate and very loyal and very generous energy. So it encourages you to go out and have fun, to play, to be that creator. We all are creators, and we have the self-confidence through Leo, the lion, to radiate, to be filled with the ability to light up and to have a strength of purpose and to have stamina. So we begin the Mercury retrograde with that kind of energy. Now you want to steer away from drama, which can be the shadow side of Leo, or being overly diva-like, or, the shadow side is also being proud, or pride in the terms of being bossy, or like I said, like a diva quality. You want to stay away from that. So your will is strengthened with Mercury retrograde in Leo. So you want to really be conscious of other people's responses to you. Remember, Mercury retrograde is all about how we share, how we connect. And if you keep communicating about something that you can tell others are resisting the message, you need to really take stock of that, like listen closely and channel that internal creative fire into a project instead of a lecture. Also during Mercury retrograde, you want to revisit projects that you've been working on and refine them. So you can return to the feelings that you had originally when you started a project, and you can give extra wonderful input. You can basically remind yourself how you fell in love with a project when you first conceived it, and then you can let your heart, Leo, guide you to finish the project, to complete something that may need some more tweaking. So go within to reflect on the impact of this energetic shift and allow it to take you to that place of creativity. That's what Leo wants. Now, on July 18th, Mercury moves into Cancer, where it will remain until approximately August 11th when it moves back into Leo. And you'll notice how your feelings are calling your attention in Cancer, especially really, really super sensitive feelings. And this emotional sensitivity is so intuitive. It's heightened due to Mercury retrograde happening in between the two eclipses. And so you really want to listen to guidance. You want to be so sensitive to that inner voice, to source speaking to you. That communication, that Mercury retrograde communication, is really an inner conversation that you're having. And when Mercury moves into Cancer, which is right after the full moon eclipse, so on the 16th we have the full moon eclipse, and then on the 18th it moves into Cancer. So your dramatic way, the Leo way of conveying your messaging, is toned down now. Cancer is more a sign that is it withdraws a little bit. It's more about being meditative. Cancer does have a shell. It is reflective of feelings. It reflects back to you, but it also allows you to take cover, to protect yourself, and create boundaries so that you can go and dive into those sensitive feelings, right? Whereas Leo wants to express what you discover, Cancer wants to go on that journey and feel it out. So Mercury also covers short trips. So I just want to throw in here, since it's summer in the Northern Hemisphere, if you have trips planned, any short weekend getaways, be open to a change of plans. That can happen. Just be relaxed, because, Mercury does also govern electronics and scheduling and, like I said, short trips. Now, let's go into the square of Mercury to Uranus. As Mercury stations, it's forming this incredible connection, very high strung. Uranus is very much about breakthroughs and freedom. So you need to guard against being impatient. And so if you feel this nervous tension, then communicate in a way that allows you to clear out the energy, but know that you're going to feel like you want to go to things very, very quickly, sometimes aggressively, because Mars is engaged here as well. So your pace of life will quicken at this time. And I know it seems very strange to say that during a Mercury retrograde, things tend to slow down. But in this case, because of the eclipses and because of the square to Uranus, it's actually speeding up. So the internal understanding is what you need to really accept. Like when things speed up and you're feeling a sense of impatience, you really have to listen. I mean, listening is probably the key theme and takeaway here, because things are moving quickly. Both Mercury and Uranus govern connection and communication. And so Mercury's the lower mind, Uranus the higher mind. So your mind is just being almost like electrified to to activate creativity and your mission and whatever your decisions are that you haven't made in relationships, right? If you've been in a relationship, for example, that has not been self-sustaining and nourishing for both people involved, and this is a great time to address that or to move out. So you may need to reschedule things during this time. The extra electricity can create this short-circuiting effect, so you're going to have these aha moments or unexpected events throughout this time. And if you want to make some big decisions, you may consider them, but really wait until the Mercury retrograde is over before you actually act on them, because sometimes the rashness of the square, it opens you up and you're much more eager to accept the brand new, which is lovely, but you may have also been too rash. So that's why you want to wait a little bit. So guard against rushing into things, being hasty, and making assumptions before understanding the whole picture. Mercury retrograde fortunately allows you to go deeply and take breaths before communicating your feelings and thoughts. So remember that, and use this heightened energy instead to focus, like I said, on a creative project or one that you are completing. You definitely want to exercise more, walk more during this time to release that inner tension. And it's probably not the best time for negotiating. So just be careful, right? Because you want to focus on constructive thinking, being practical, and expressing this quick moving energy in a very, very positive way. And sometimes the square can take it into another direction where we, like I said, get anxious. And so the exercise is super important with Mars involved in this square. Now, we're going to now move into how you can take advantage of this Mercury retrograde during eclipse season, and also we're going to look at Chiron in the moment, because Chiron, the sacred healer, plays a huge role as well. And that's because Chiron retrogrades in Aries one day after Mercury does, so on July 8th and 9th. And so after that initial big emotional shift adjustment with the Mercury retrograde, the square to Uranus and Mars, etc., Chiron and Mercury are going to work beautifully together to heal past hurts. And this is why this is such an extraordinary moment in the middle of the year, because the healing balm that you will feel, you can apply to any past scars. You can look at them without feeling like you're going to be rejected or hurt again. And so suppressed emotions will come up as they do during retrogrades, but in a very caring, loving way, because there's a beautiful trine, 120-degree trine between Mercury and Chiron. Again, they're retrograding at the same moment. They're exactly trying each other at this time. And so that brings powerful, powerful healing through love and through how you communicate, right? Your words just carry tremendous kindness and this sweet energy, and you just connect to ancient wisdom in a way that you can verbalize through your intuition words that are just suddenly appear in your mind, and you can actually heal and counsel and nurture yourself and others, because the wisdom is exponential with this Mercury retrograde trine Chiron retrograde. Really it is. So your life as a healer is being born. It's being expanded. It's being made more visible. And you will recognize that inner sacred warrior, that inner sacred healer in you. So right in the middle of this Mercury retrograde cycle, Mercury conjuncts the sun, because Mercury's traveling backwards and the sun is traveling forwards, and they're meeting each other on the 21st. So your thoughts and your communication are merged, are internal with Mercury retrograde, and they're merged with your inner light, the light of your consciousness, your enlightened awareness, which is the sun. And so on July 21st, or around July 21st, you can receive even more insights that can lead to a dramatic shift, right? It can be a shift in consciousness. It can be solutions that you get to any challenges you're experiencing. And so pay attention to the 21st. And remember, the 21 also governs our 21st century, and it is the number of truth. The truth shall set you free. Is the number of joy and happiness and uplifting energy, optimism. So here are some tips and takeaways specifically for the Mercury retrograde. First of all, what I suggest is that you detach from noise, because noise is not just sound. It's not just distractions through actual sound, but noise is defined by minor interruptions in your life, interesting distractions that you don't need. They're interesting, but that doesn't mean you need to follow through and go down that slippery road of, distraction land, which we all know. And noise is also small crises, right? So you want to set boundaries around that noise, and that will put you back on track with your vision. So during this Mercury retrograde, you want to spend more time in silence. Before the noise enters your day, close your eyes, reflect on your divine mission, reflect on what you're grateful for, reflect on your big vision, focus on your goals, reflect on your most important tasks of the day, right? Ensure that the things that really matter never get sacrificed for what seems like pressing matters that are far less important. Remember, this Mercury retrograde begins at 4 degrees in Leo, and 4 is the number of putting things in their place. And that means creating boundaries, protecting yourself against energy that is going to distract you, take you off guard. I like saying, don't major, meaning college major, don't major in the minor things in life. Major in your big vision. Make that your major. And this is a really fantastic time to disconnect from those minor things and really honor the major in your life. Remember that you come from the stars. Remember that you are somebody who craves to be significant. And if there's anything really besides the listening and silence that's important now, it is that you want to do things that make you feel respected. You want respect during this time. Mars and Uranus coming together in this square, it's craving. It's almost like a teenager breaking through, forging through, wanting respect for the first time for who they are, that you're unique, right? This is just such an important time to accept that you're not the same as everybody else, so you don't have to toe the line. You don't have to follow those rules. This is the big moment anyways in Capricorn Cancer, that big theme right now is we're breaking away from the top down, this is what's expected of you. Instead of doing that, feel how you can honor your life in your own special way, and that I can just vouch for it so many millions of times, that will give you inner respect first. You will respect yourself for honoring who you are at soul level, that inner light, that Leo light, and you will have the sensitivity, the Cancer, to actually listen and love and not care, right? The courage and the sensitivity are merging in a gorgeous way with this retrograde. So it is really a wake up. It is like I said, a redirection, but also a birthing of your inner fire, your inner confidence, while at the same time allowing you not to go totally aggressive, like my way or the highway energy. You are at the same time being very open and trusting of others having that same power to create their lives. So that respect, that sense of respect, is really a key theme, and it starts with respecting who you are, right? Honoring who you are. So remember, you come from the stars, you return to the stars. We're all made up of stardust. We are stars. We have an inner light that yearns to be expressed, that's Leo, and we have that same inner light, that heart-centered energy that yearns to love, Cancer. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, you can explore your star codes. You can explore what makes you light up and discover your gifts and the secrets to your success, what ignites you at soul level in that free class, starcodeclass.com. Head on over there and discover the secret mysteries and messages in your birthday, birth name, and also your astrology birth chart. So enjoy that. Go to starcodeclass.com, and I am signing off for now. Enjoy this tremendous month, this amazing Mercury retrograde, and I will see you in next week's Star Codes podcast. Lots of love.